Dylan Wright dominated Spanish football with Real Madrid by scoring 60 goals and winning 3 trophies. He was bought by Manchester United for €270 million, and since then he's been scoring goals for fun. In this episode he broke 2 records and tied another one. Stick around to find out which ones he broke and how fast he did it. After winning Player of the Month due to his performances in September, Dylan put on the England shirt and showed dominance once more for his country, scoring a hat-trick and further cementing himself to be one of the best players in the world and probably trying to make himself one of the best strikers in football history. When he put on his red shirt once more, it was to head to Anfield as Manchester United faced Liverpool in their first meeting of the season, and Liverpool started off strong through Tammy Abraham scoring the first goal of the game, putting Man United 1-0 down. And from there, Dylan Wright took it into his own hands by scoring the equalizer and giving Manchester United 1 point at Anfield. From there, Manchester United travelled to Scotland to face off against Rangers, where Dylan Wright took the opportunity to score himself a hat-trick and further cement his dominance as a United player this season. Shortly after this, United would face off against Liverpool once more in the Carabao Cup, and this time Dylan decided to show up first by scoring in the 20th minute. This would be enough to send United through to the next round. Shortly after the game, Dylan Wright attended a press conference. FIFA Expert magazine first asked why he left Real Madrid, and Dylan simply said that he wanted to come back home. And then when asked about winning the Ballon d'Or, Dylan claimed that he will win 3 before he retires. And now it is time for our next Premier League game, where we tie a record, but against our former club. It is time for us to face off against AFC Bournemouth this season. A game where if you ask Dylan Wright about it, he'd say it's the best game of his career, but also the saddest. Dylan Wright scored 5 goals in a single Premier League game to tie the record that Alan Shearer and 3 others had set, but it could not have been against a worse opponent. For Dylan, it was more than just a game of football. Well, now the time for sadness is over as it's back to business for Manchester United in the Europa League, and this time Dylan brushes off his emotions and once more continues his goal-scoring form, scoring yet another hat-trick in the UEFA Europa League. United would face Helsinki later on in the month, and Dylan would break the record of the most group stage goals scored by a single player in the Europa League. And Dylan would once again be called up for international duty, but this time he wasn't the one scoring the goals. Instead, he assisted Marcus Edwards to beat Italy. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated when I release another video like this one. Bayer Leverkusen would be our last match in the group stages. And once again, Dylan Wright would have a great performance, dribbling into the box to score his first goal, and then scoring one more later on into the game in a one-on-one opportunity. And United tops the Europa League group. Manchester United also saw themselves in 3rd place in December with a game in hand on 2nd place, which was Newcastle, the opponents that they would be facing next. Manchester United needed to win this game, so Dylan Wright showed up, did his job, scored the goal and gave United that 1-0 victory and the 3 points. Next was top of the table Spurs at Old Trafford, and Manchester United knew that winning this game would put them on top of the table. And of course, with a hungry Dylan, he scored the goal to give United that 1-0 victory to send them to the top of the Premier League. But it seemed like they would not stay long on the top of the table, as up next they would have to face off in a Manchester derby where Erling Haaland was looking dangerous. Dylan would answer back to equalize for United by powering the ball through Ederson to secure them a draw, but this would not be enough to keep them on top of the table, as Spurs would overtake United for dropping points against their City rivals. United did beat Carlton afterwards to progress in the Carabao Cup. And looking at the league table, it seems that Man City are now in the title race as well, but in this situation, United are the ones with the least amount of control. So now United need to make sure that they win as many Premier League games as possible, and Everton is a good spot to pick up 3 points and for Dylan to increase his goal tally, getting him closer and closer to the Premier League goal scoring record. And since it was January, the Carabao Cup semi-finals were about to begin, and for the first time this season, Manchester United and Dylan Wright would fail to hit the back of the net, ending the game in a goalless 0-0 stalemate. With Dylan experiencing fitness issues after the Arsenal game, he'd be subbed on against United's second meeting with Liverpool, where Dylan Wright became a super sub and scored the all-crucial equalizing goal when United needed him the most. But once more, United dropped points, and despite 1 point being better than 0, this still meant that they were losing control in the title race once more. They'd have a chance to bounce back against West Ham United, and they took this opportunity by the throat, with Dylan Wright scoring goals once more, this time starting the game and ensuring that Manchester United walks away with all 3 points, and once again putting him one step closer to breaking the Premier League goal scoring record. We would return to Old Trafford to face off against Arsenal in the second leg of the Carabao Cup, and this time United and Dylan Wright played no games by scoring 2 goals to move past Arsenal and book themselves a ticket at Wembley in the Carabao Cup final. And it seems like we'd have to beat another one of our London rivals in Chelsea. The 31st of January would host another Manchester City and Manchester United derby. We were able to defeat our Manchester rivals by scoring 2 goals against them, knocking them out of the title race and giving Dylan Wright the Premier League goal scoring record. Later on in the week, we'd face off against Crystal Palace in February in the FA Cup, as it was another trophy that we were interested in grabbing. With that said, we dominated Crystal Palace and we even scored ourselves a pretty decent goal near the end there. Our 4 goals on the day would be enough to give United safe passage into the next round. Looking back at the Premier League, things were as tight as ever. We were behind Spurs by 2 points, and a win against Brighton would give us back our first place position. So we put on a good show in the Amex, scoring another brace to give United that top spot once again. But as soon as we got control, we lost it again by losing 2-1 against Wolves. However, we turn our attention away from the league and turn it towards the Carabao Cup final at Wembley against Chelsea. And once more, Dylan Wright dribbled his way into the box, tricking the defenders and putting away a decent goal. Not only that, he assisted Brandon Williams, who nutmegged the keeper to score our second goal of the game and seal the Carabao Cup's fate into our hands. I guess that's trophy number 1 in the bag. Hopefully, the first of many. But looking at the league, it still wasn't looking pretty. It's not over yet, but we need to stop giving away control to Tottenham Hotspurs. The next game on our fixture list would be against Olympique Marseille in the Europa League round of 16. And heading into the game, we were 3 goals away from breaking the Europa League goal scoring record. But unfortunately, in the first leg, we could only score 1 goal, but it was still enough to give us a good advantage heading into leg 2. Another Manchester derby, this time in the FA Cup quarter-finals, and this time we were ready for war. The bicycle kick definitely set the tone for how Dylan Wright was going to perform in the match, but Man City weren't going to go out quietly like they have in recent times, in fact equalizing. But like I said, that bicycle kick set the tone for the kind of match Dylan Wright was about to have, scoring a hat-trick despite Manchester United being 10 men down. We head into the second leg against Marseille, being only 3 goals away from breaking yet another record this season, and it seemed like Dylan was very serious about it by scoring a hat-trick, not only sending Manchester United through, but also giving him one more record to have before April. If you enjoyed the video, click on the subscribe button to not miss out on the next episode, and click on the left to see the AFC Richmond wonder kid Patrick Essien dominate the midfield and terrorize English defenses.